Hi friends, it's Julie, and I'm here tonight to talk to you a little bit about sensory processing. What is it? What can we do to help with it? And first off, I'm going to start by reading you the official definition, and then we're going to just chat about it a little bit. So the definition of sensory processing, or integration is what it's also sometimes called. It's the effective registration and accurate interpretation of sensory input in the environment, including one's body. It is the way the brain receives, organizes, and responds to sensory input to behave in a meaningful and consistent manner. So basically, sensory processing is how do we take in all the information that's out there, and it's done through our senses. Now, some kids, their senses, you might hear the term sensory processing disorder, or SPD, sometimes it's referred to. And sensory processing disorder, sometimes the kids will be overstimulated by the senses. And sensory is all the ways that our body takes information in. So good infant toys will involve as many senses as possible. So we try to add in a lot of different sounds. We'll add in different textures, different tastes, different smells sometimes. So as many different senses as we can is what you're looking for in a really good infant toy. But back to the sensory processing disorder. Sometimes kids may overreact to the sensory input, and that may be they overreact to sounds. Maybe they just get are just too sensitive to sounds. You'll hear some kids like, "Oh, you're yelling," and it's like, no, you're not. So when they overreact to sounds, sometimes they'll overreact to clothing, like it's too tight, or it's itchy, or the tags bother them. Or it's not the right material. Those kinds of kids, again, that's an example of sensory processing disorder. Or they can also overreact to the food textures. That's another example of it. So they may overreact to the sensory information, or they may underreact to sensory information and input. And if they're underacting to the sensory input, it makes them like crave that stimuli that's more intense. So that's when you'll see the kids that are like jumping off of tall things or swinging really high on the swing sets. They're craving that sensory input. So I wanted to give you a couple examples of what things you could use to help with that sensory processing. Just a few examples here. One is going to be Twisty Clicks. So this particular toy, and I just want to give you an example of like what to look for. So you'll see how we have the black and white beads in there. So they can shake it. They can watch the black and white beads roll around in there. On the orange piece, there's a texture, so that they can feel that bumpy texture that's on the orange piece. There's also some texture up here on this particular piece. And as you can hear, we have the rattle sound like this, but they can also use both hands and twist. And you can see how this really can help with the sensory. So that's an example of a good sensory toy. Another one that I wanted to show you is our Hide Inside Cottage. Now this is jam-packed full of different sensory input. And this is one I oftentimes will recommend if you're looking for an infant toy that really grows with your kids. This particular toy is one that I even sell to preschool teachers to help with prepositions. So let me show you Hide Inside Cottage. So first off, again, hear the sound in the doors of the cottage. That's the sound so many kids love. So we've got the sound there. Inside, you're going to find a bird, and the bird, the little wings will crinkle. You're going to find a fox and hear the different sound of the fox. You will find a hedgehog, because every child needs a hedgehog. And again, you hear that squeak in there. And I should show you also, each of the animals have different textures. So we've got that corduroy feeling here. We've got kind of a felt feeling on its head, kind of a fuzzy feeling, and you can feel the feathers there on the bird as well. And this has got a real soft feel to the fox. We also have our bunny. Now the bunny is a beanbag bottom bunny, so it's got that fun feel to it, but bunnies are quiet. And we have our owl, which has got a different little rattle, chimey sound to it. Again, it's going to have that soft feel to it, but they do have like the felt on the feet. So you've got some different textures, and the eyes feel different too, because they're a kind of an embroidered kind of an eye. And then, I'm dropping my bird. And then we have our moose. And I love my moose. The moose feels really soft. So he's got that really soft feel to it. Again, the embroider feel, the little nose there feels different. You've got the felt ears. So at first the kids will use this as individual play pieces. They will carry them around. They will chew on them. They'll take them to bed. Totally fine. When they're ready, you can have the pockets where they can actually see the whole animal when it goes into the pocket. Now I can see part of the animal when it goes into the pocket. And then we have my favorite pocket, because with this pocket, I can say, Moose says it's time to go to bed. Good night. And he goes inside. And the little ones are like, oh, where did he go? And it helps them with that object permanence, and they'll find him inside the house, and they can play peekaboo. And that really helps when they don't want you to leave because they think you don't exist. If they don't see you, you can talk about how the moose disappears and comes back, just like mom disappears and comes back, and it helps them with that. Then, after they've played with the pockets, it's the dump and fill. You know, about a year of age, how the kids all get into dump and fill. So they'll take all the animals out, they'll put all the animals back in. They'll take them out and in and out and in over and over and over again. And then about 2 years of age, they'll use these animals as almost like puppets, and they'll use them to act out. A lot of the kids' storybooks will have these characters and these animals in this kids' storybook, so it allows the kids to act out and do that creative play. And then after that, like I was saying, my preschool teachers are buying it to teach prepositions, because you can do things like, can you put the fox behind the house? Can you put the bird on top of the house? All those in-out kind of concepts with it. So that's our hide inside cottage. And again, everybody goes inside the cottage for storage. Then, oh, and I didn't even show you that the cottage itself is going to have different textures too. So we have like a felt here, we've got a fuzzy on this side, we've got the clear plastic so it feels real smooth, and the roof is like padded so it feels soft and cushy. So again, really, really sensory, as many senses as we possibly could put into that particular toy. And the last one is actually one I showed you last week when I was talking about fine motor skills, but it also totally applies to sensory processing. So that is our triangle. And with this triangle, again, I wanted just to show you what I'm talking about as far as for the sensory. You hear the sound? All right. When I go like this, we hear the sound, a different sound. So hear all the different sounds. You're also going to find on the different pieces, these are going to have different textures. So these are built out, these are like an indent. On our triangle, we have little triangles with the different, again, textures on them. And on the green one, we have the little circles, again, with an in and out. On your sun and the moon and the stars, you're going to feel the different textures there. You're going to feel all the bumps up here. You're going to feel the lines up here. And you'll feel the smoothness of the mirror. On this side, we've got the circle feel here. We can feel the lines on the gears or the holes in the gears for them to put their fingers on. And on this side, again, we've got more of a pincher grasp on this. And again, we can hear our sounds go around. So this is an example of a really good sensory toy as well as a fine motor skills toy. Hope that helped, just a little bit of information about sensory processing. If I can be of any help giving you ideas of other items that would help you with sensory processing, please let me know. Take care, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.